Hello, everyone. It's episode 31, and we're going to be talking about the news of the week, but also the all part two of this episode will also be up, and we'll be talking about blitzscaling and blitzfixing.
Yes. So as always, it's gonna be episode 31, and we just said that it's very cool because we were planning actually to film one episode a month, and we're kind of speeding up, so that's great. And as Raval mentioned, go listen to the second part to get more information about blitzscaling, and the first part we dive into the news.
Yeah, this news part most people just listen to in the form of the clips that get generated,
That's
but
true.
it's we like doing it.
Yes, the news, some of them are a little bit uploaded later, so you might get them a bit later, but better later than ever. However, let's jump in. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. You heard about bromium poisoning?
No.
So anyway, this story is a ChatGPT story. A guy was trying to heal himself using ChatGPT and kept asking it for alternatives to salt in his diet. Some
Okay.
people have to like. So anyway, he switched towards a bromium based salt, bromium chloride, I think it was, instead of sodium chloride.
Is it like industrial or something?
It's yeah. Sodium bromide it was, you know. So what happened was that he started doing it and then spent 3 weeks in the hospital with psychiatric symptoms.
Whoa, so it's like it screwed up his nervous system?
Yeah. And this is like the danger of constantly asking your AI to give you alternatives to things, and it'll just like this is untread territory. So it'll just go, oh, on some obscure forum somebody said this. So if that's in the training data, this guy saw it and then he poisoned himself. Basically, he's still alive, but bromium poisoning can give you like really bad hallucinations and basically turn you psychotic for a little while.
Man, it's all of those like drug forums that are now being aggregated for ChatGPT. Say, hey, yeah, you should go use glue on your pizza so that your pepperoni doesn't slide off, or eat rocks.
It's also you can't predict which question you can ask it. You know,
Yeah.
which question anybody will ask. But so when it picks out of some sort of training data from here, from there, it you can't supervise each of those questions or possibilities.
Yeah, that's true. Talk about GPT. I have one news. GPT-5, when it was released, have you heard about the backlash?
Oh yeah. People didn't think it was lovey-dovey enough, or disagreed with them too much, or agreed with them too much, and everybody started going, "Oh, you've replaced my GPT with an inferior version."
Yeah, so basically, for everyone who doesn't know, ChatGPT before, what it had, you would say, hey, I want to use model 3.5 or 4.0 or 4 or something like that. So you would basically develop, connect your API to each model that you think is better in math, better in research, better in something else. And what OpenAI did, they basically scraped the whole modeling separation system and said, okay, now it's GPT-5, it's going to guess what you want. And people were very upset because some of the people who said that they built whole ecosystems, workflows for their company, for their business, for their automation systems, they all kind of went out the window because now they said that GPT-5 will just guess. Good luck. So basically, models were missing, technical glitches were, and weird vibes. For me, I personally as well noticed that now you can personalize ChatGPT. You can say, you should say things without fluff. You should be direct. So now anytime I ask something ChatGPT, it's like, I will be very direct. I will not tell you fluff. And every time I ask something,
And
he's
that's
like,
the fluff.
yeah. And he's like, I will tell you everything without a fluff. I'm like, I told you not to do that. And now before starting any conversation or answering any question, you give me like a small summary that, hey, without fluff, here's the information. I'm like, oh my God, this is cringe.
Yeah, I feel like everybody who uses AI a lot is going through the exact same phases of depression that I went through with Google. Think about it. They got this new toy and it's brilliant, and you're like amazed by it, and you're like, oh, I can ask it anything. And then they tweak something to fix some stuff, and then you're like, oh no, they made it worse. They did this, they did that thing. So yeah, you're suddenly going through the life cycle of when a tech is really responsive, and then the company needs something to better boost its usability, but then just messes it up, or they have some ulterior agenda of their own, like adding ads and things like that.
For
So,
me,
nice to know you guys are going through the same suffering I go through with Google every day.
the thing was as well that people pointed out that a lot of their old chats were deleted because now it was like, hey, now it's all about ChatGPT, well, GPT-5, and then every other chat was removed, and people who basically build their relationships with specific like chats that has like memory and history, it basically disappeared. But actually, I started playing with it. I gave up my whole work email and calendar to GPT-5, and when I connected to it, I said, okay, can you send a message to Raval? And it could.
Nice.
So basically now I'm like, can you please tell me what was the latest email about this? And if I was like cooking in the kitchen and I was testing it, and I'm like, hey, what can you do? And after connecting to my Gmail and my email, I said, what was the last message that was sent with an invoice from like July? And it's like, oh, it was this one. So it thought out a little bit for a minute, but basically it can go through email now and decide, like, figure things out.
Yeah, but I hope you're not giving our invoices over to OpenAI,
No.
please.
No, but the thing was, I was very curious. What does it like? How does it read it? Like, how does it understand it? Can it do it? But for me, I just connected and it's like, hey, what was the latest email? Not what was in the email.
Yeah.
But so basically, there are some impressive things, but I really hate that now you can personalize it, and every time I personalize it, it makes it very cringe.
Okay. Yeah, it just misunderstands what you're going for.
It's more that you tell him, don't tell me fluff, and it starts with the fluff. You tell him, be direct, and he's like, I'll be very direct. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I remember we were experimenting with ChatGPT a while back at work, and we were like, "Oh, can you be more explicit about what you as an AI model are and are not are not good for, are not useful for?" And would start every sentence with, "As an AI model, I'm not good for this, but here's your answer. As an AI model, I'm not good for this." It's just whether or not you were using it for just summarizing or doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like this is what kind of pisses me off, but I don't know how to fix it yet. But this personalization is a interesting attempt, but then you don't know how to personalize it.
Yeah. Okay. Then have you heard what's going on in the UK? There's a lot of things going on in the UK, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But specifically with the government asking people to delete their emails to make more space for data centers.
No, I haven't heard about
So
that.
basically the data centers are overcharged, and
Uh-huh.
they want a lot of like AI programs and just general software programs to be running on all of them. So they asked people to start deleting their old emails so that there's more space.
Wow.
So then they're like, that's not it. That's not it alone. You know, there's also an issue where like they started saying we're gonna start running out of water if you don't do this.
So we need water to cool down the servers and the systems, and then
Yep.
because you don't clean up your trash and don't empty your cloud, we have to use more water. So therefore, users' fault.
Yep.
Not companies, not corporations, not politicians. Like it's users' fault.
Yeah. And it's also a case of just people being blamed for all these mismanaged data centers and just how like the UK is not a place for that. It really isn't. It's like a tiny island.
I was reading about Iceland actually. Side notes that Iceland produces all the green energy like on the whole island, and they produce much more than they need. So
Huh.
they're discussing to maybe transfer some sort of. So they wanted to join the EU, and still
Yeah.
Iceland wants to join the EU. And they say if we join the EU, maybe to transfer some of the
A good
data
bargaining chip.
warehouses there. Yeah, but the thing is, there's no wire. You cannot like put a wire
Yeah.
there, right? So they're figuring out how to do it.
Yeah, I think with like the case of the UK, they've always been such a sort of hub for like different companies moving there. Like especially like I don't want to get contentious, but people in Ireland might disagree. You know, so there's parts of Ireland which are entirely managed by like Google, and they're cheap and they're like low income zones and stuff like that. A lot of tech companies move there just because they're a tax haven.
Yeah.
So tech companies have been like in more ways than just this, exploiting the UK and Ireland's entire sort of
Infrastructure.
permissibility towards allowing tech companies in, and now they're seeing like the raw end of it. Like over here they said the Wye and Elias rivers are at their lowest ever recorded height, you know,
Yeah.
and 5 areas are officially in drought,
What?
with 6 more experiencing prolonged dry weather following the driest 6 months to July since 1978.
Wow. I did
Yep.
like that's ridiculous.
So data centers were sucking up an enormous amount of water, and most of this is to keep the equipment cool, as you know.
Oh my
You know?
God, man, this is insane. Now the government or whatever lobbyists from Google, they say, hey, you know what, people or governments, you're gonna run out of water. You legally allowed us to build this thing. We need water, and you're gonna provide us infrastructure. Therefore, ask your people to shower less.
I don't know what would be the ramifications if they just started building the data centers underwater.
That could be a cool idea, though.
I mean, there's probably some science that I'm butchering, you know, but I'm imagining like Metal Gear Solid 2, the underwater facilities, you know. I don't know, but maybe they can actually do that instead of having traditional data centers. But then it would be such a pain to replace every GPU that gets burnt out by overusage.
I've seen it was not water, but some guy. It was a PC convention or something, and he had whole computer submerged, so open parts with wires and
Oh.
stuff, but it was liquid. It was like a glass bowl where he was like showcasing, but it's a special liquid. It's not water
Yeah.
that basically doesn't get into all the systems, but it's very cold. I don't know what it is. It needs like a much lower temperature to freeze and stuff like that. However, so it's possible, but I have no idea. It's some sort of new tech.
Yeah. So that's just. I don't know how to solve this issue. I would love for data centers to be nice and renewable and so on. And I was crunching the math on this a while back, and it's just like a GPU that's heavily used can fry out in like 3 to 4 years, and that's being generous. I don't know how much usage they get out of it constantly being pumped through AI systems, which are very demanding. So every 3 years you have to replace GPUs, and they're spending billions upon billions. Let's look at Nvidia's stock if you wanted to know how many like the GPUs are being bought up every day for these data centers. And I don't know how sustainable this business is, because it's just going to increase as this starts replacing Google in our daily lives more and more, if it does. And the scalability issue is just massive, you know?
I'm thinking, is it more using renewable energy maybe, or because you can blast an AC in a building, right? Or you can build that center somewhere cold. So there are multiple ways of approach. I'm pretty sure like they could have figured it out, but they didn't do it for a reason.
There are, but even then, this issue that I'm talking about is more about the average lifespan of a GPU when it's in use. Even like if you're cooling it, it'll last 3 to 4 years.
But then just go and replace it with a new one, more powerful one, and then you need
I know,
more
I know.
energy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the issue. But how many GPUs are you constantly swapping out? And we're about to reach 4 years into OpenAI being widely used, right? I think so. That's about it.
I think like 3 years.
Yeah,
somewhere.
3 years. So basically, in a little while, the costs might just skyrocket even more. If my calculations, and I've done these myself, I am not an expert. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a financial genius, clearly. But when I was looking at this, I'm like, that sounds like it's going to cause a lot of trouble in a few years.
Or you need to optimize your systems or the way they work or something like that.
I mean, that's what DeepSeek was about.
Yeah, just
right?
prioritizing specific ways of working so it doesn't overload the computer.
Yeah, and they've also made the model run light enough that you can download its reasoning database into friggin' what's it called, like a Mac Mini.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think these things have to be this powerful. It's just like the American mentality, I think.
More, better, faster.
More, better, faster, more expensive, even better, you know? And a lot of that is just them just like exchanging dollars between themselves.
Blitzscaling.
Well, we're going to cover that. So you got another story?
Yes, talk about UK. So UK has decided that the best way to deal with one of the internet's most chaotic corners, fortune.
Oh god! Oh no! Oh,
So
every time somebody messes with 4chan, something goes wrong. What is it this time?
So we spoke in the previous episode and the one before that right now they're trying to implement this digital ID and YouTube started rolling out. They say, hey, we think that based on the content you watch, you should verify your ID with driver's license. So basically, the government of UK politely asked Fortune to fill in the paperwork. So like official communications threatens fines up to 10% of global revenue. Of outright block, threaten, basically they threaten 4chan because they're like, oh, it's anonymous, a bunch of trolling, it's like it goes through different criminal, some sort of like legislations that do not pass. And they say that they emailed 4chan a mail for cease and desist. And basically, because of this online safety act that, we want to protect the kids, let's block Wikipedia because the kids are going to be, traumatized by Wikipedia and it's not okay. Let's block Quorn and also different social media platforms and install this ID gates. But the irony was that the government basically sent it to someone at 4chan. And do you think they're going to answer? So they're like, we're gonna block 4chan, and you'll have to verify based on your ID if you want to log into 4chan. And imagine what's gonna happen in UK. Do you think people are gonna be dumb enough? We're like, oh yeah, I want to access 4chan. Here's my ID, so that they can know that you're like.
Also, like back in the day, Anonymous used to mostly hang out on 4chan.
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble. You're really asking for trouble when you're like batting this hornet's nest. Even the Church of Scientology didn't win that battle. And speaking of that, my next story is very related. A new bill in the U.S. could ban corn. And I'm not talking about maize. I'm talking about, corn.
All right.
Anyway. So Mike Lee, who's infamous, let's just say that, is passing a bill called the IODA. It's gonna be like another version of the Online Safety Act from the UK, and the bill could pretty much make this federalized. So
Whoa.
yeah, so rather than even being like a state by state basis kind of thing. The intent requirement from the current Communications Act of 1934, meaning individuals could face prosecution for sharing or hosting content deemed to be explicit and lacking serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. So the government is going to be sitting around judging whether something has political, scientific value before it's, they start banning it. And this is going to be a death knell for like the S work industry.
I like that it said artistic value.
Yeah, because otherwise it would clash with freedom of expression and the First Amendment and all of that.
Artistic value, I think it's also. I'm gonna like leech on that one because then it feels that they are called actresses, right? So therefore, isn't it an artistic value?
That's the funny thing in the U.S. You can you can not pay solicit someone for sexual activities, but what can happen is if you film it, you're completely in the clear.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of ambiguity about how well, this depends on state to state, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of ambiguity about where art ends. If you're filming it, it's suddenly an artistic piece or can be private even. And if you're paying someone, then they're acting in it. So, but if you're just soliciting someone for favors, then that's I don't know why that's even banned there.
I have no idea what they're trying to do. I think it's just a big industry that is so profitable, and I have a feeling that they're probably avoiding or taxes or they are doing like offshoring. I have no idea. I feel that US is blocking this because there's a chunk of money they cannot get somehow.
I mean, at some point, money doesn't explain it, and this just feels like another grab by the people who did the whole. We talked about this, who did Project 2025 and all of that. They're explicitly evangelical Christians,
And just like power.
Power and also just control over what your children do and do not see, so you can mold them to be exactly like yourself.
Yeah. Don't watch Wikipedia, people, because it's very bad for kids.
Yeah,
Says
yeah, yeah.
UK.
It's all that. And the thing about this is, you can literally just say, "Oh, this movie is banned because it shows maybe an alternative sexuality or something,
Hmm.
and because of that, it's pornographic, and so on." So the problem is gonna be, you then start categorizing things in a way that suits your political agenda.
Fair enough.
Yeah, when you can just decide, well, who's to say the statue of David is not, corn?
Fair.
And so when you,
Public nudity.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And saying that this is for adults, that's a much more clearer line, right? You can establish age. You can say this is what nudity is legally, and this is what it's not.
Hmm.
So if this is shown to a child, that's wrong. You can kind of say that. But there's always been this issue of, like, for example, this is going way back, and this is always been a thing. I found it very funny because even to gay men sort of doing fully clothed affection pushes a movie to like R rated,
Hmm.
but like you can almost show us show an under the covers nude sort of a heterosexual scene, and it'll still be PG-13.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Values.
So this has always been a bit of push and pull, and what is and is not considered by polite Christian society to be what.
I think you don't have to like go far away. Just go back to like 2010 or 2000s
Yeah.
movies and see, or TV shows, and see what they allowed back then. So, for example, I watched one. It was like a short somewhere on YouTube. It was about. It was called the TV show Butterface. So, do you know what that means?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So basically, they had girls walking out on stage like in a bikini or something that looked great, but then they had like a paper bag on their head, and then they would try to guess if it's a butterface or not, and they would take out their like the bag, and they would start like puking, laughing, and pointing fingers, and just a girl on stage. I'm like, try that today.
I remember
It's insane.
I remember watching the Man Show. It's
Crazy.
like this is like not even a comedy show anymore. It's just an excuse for men to ogle women.
Man, it's insane. And
Yeah.
then when I saw it, I'm like, this makes like try to pull this off today.
I mean, there's a lot more there, to be honest. I mean, we still got like, I'm gonna push back on the whole, oh, this generation too woke, blah blah blah, or some stuff. I mean, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has been on the air for like 20 years at
Yeah.
this point, and they're more popular now than ever. And shows like all the animated shows that we get nowadays, they get away with like incest even.
Mm.
Rick and Morty had an entire incest episode.
Oh, then
And that genuinely pushed my buttons because I'm like, who wanted this? Whose kink is this?
or
know?
what is the South Park doing?
South Park, Mr. Pickles.
Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any. It's people are more outraged because you see more outrage. Back in the day, people would get so angry at like a Monty Python sketch, they would send letters. Do you know how angry you have to make people for them to send letters in the hundreds of thousands?
Yeah, that's
That took effort. Nowadays it's just, oh, I'm tweeting and I'm angry. You know? That's nothing. That's nothing. You can even uploading a YouTube video compared to writing a letter, grabbing a stamp, licking it, putting it there, and mailing it in. People pretend there was a lot less outrage because it was a lot less visible.
fair.
And back in the day, they used to be just like, parents just used to say, I'm just putting protection lock on the TV. So my kids will never have to see this. I don't ever have to see this. And we never have to ever be challenged. So that's my
Fair.
entire thesis on people saying this generation, blah, 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 blah.
Fair. I asked my mom once.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, how did you allow?" Like when I was 7 years old, my mom got me like a PC. Well, not me, my sister. And then because she needed it for studying, but she was maybe not that interested in computers, and I was the, oh wow, computer, I'm gonna know life now. So I started gaming like crazy,
Yeah.
going on 4chan. That was my hobby when I was like 9.
Yeah.
So I really dug into like all the black hat forums, hacker forums, 4chan, everything underground. And I asked my mom, like, how did you allow me to do this? Because she says internet is terrible. I'm like, internet back then was different. Still, how did you allow me to do this? She's like, I didn't know what's there. I'm like, oh, he's not drinking outside and he's not in a bad company. He's just online with his online friends. I'm like, whoa.
Wow. She didn't know what company you were keeping online.
Absolutely. Talking about basically censorship, I have one last piece of news on my side about censorship. So now, due to UK regulations, France and US are kind of fighting this. Oh, you have to verify your age. You have to like show your ID. A lot of websites being blocked. There's a new movement now that is like, it's called censorship-free internet. So the core idea is basically the concept aims to remove the gatekeepers who decide what is allowed online and what is not. So basically, they want to achieve this pure decentralization of technologies and networks and structures, kind of like this underground, radio that was very popular. Now they're like,
Pirate radio.
yeah, so like let's create our own underground internet that we can connect only the people who contribute. For example, if you have like a server at home or like a tiny computer, like I will contribute to the internet so that people can host like decentralized stuff that is usually, has no content filtering. So like websites, apps, communication channels, also like no takedown orders, because you cannot take me down. Like basically everything is going to be shared and mirrored.
And we're just going to go back to the days of Google driving everything pirated or so whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So the pirating now is on the rise. Like people are torrenting like crazy. Obviously everywhere in Europe you can pirate except Germany. But basically the piracy now is going up. Content, like people are leaving social media like in masses. Anonymity and privacy, so due to decentralized internet, would be like a very strong point, because you don't have to share your identity or verify that, oh, you cannot watch this YouTube video, you're not like 18. You're like, oh wow, now I have to prove. So also in distributed hosting, as I mentioned, so you can have like computers, or your phone is powerful enough that if your phone is connected to Wi-Fi, or like any type of 5G internet, you will share a little bit of your space and a little bit of your like a BlackBerry did, or like a BlackBerry messages were all like integrated in there. So basically people say, hey, this is what's being theorized now and developed, but there's obviously the big trade-off, because fully censorship-free internet doesn't distinguish between what is lawful, what's not, what's hate, and so on. So basically 4chan. So like 4chan is the toilet of the internet, and people say very crazy things about it. So they're afraid that if they're gonna do this, they still start discussing how can it be self-governing. And they're looking at different like AI filters, which makes them look like Meta or anything else. People say like discussing blockchain, Web3, maybe mesh networks, end-to-end encryption, and kind of censorship-resistant publishing platforms, but they cannot find a solution. However, what I like, that's they started working on it, and it started becoming a little bit more popular in UK and US. And I have 4 pieces of news, basically, that they started fighting it. They right away started putting like stamps of like decentralized, illegal, mesh networks, illegal. You need like a confirmation from the government or something, ISO certification to get this. So the US is kind of have a diplomatic campaign underway. Secretary of State Rubio, dated on August 4th, 2025, urged American diplomats in Europe to lobby against the EU Digital Service Act. Critics say restricts the speech and burdens U.S. tech firms. So what basically U.S. is afraid of, that even if it's done legally in, let's say, like restricting the internet and censorship within Europe, they say, oh, everything that U.S. says is bad propaganda and should be censored. And basically U.S., who's spending money, time, and effort on PR and advertising money, they will not be visible in Europe because it's not legal based under the EU regulation. So basically, while Europe insists it's only like, well, we got to protect our users, but then imagine how many US companies are in UK, and UK is like, you need to verify your age, and I was like, screw it, I'm leaving. So that means that advertisers, they lose audience in UK. That means companies, they lose market in UK, and they cannot advertise anything there. So basically US is like protesting, and that's what the routers said.
I mean, at some point, I can see this continuing to the point where they start deciding, oh, it's not your stuff; it belongs to the company that hosts you. So basically, if you have something on Google Drive, the U.S. just goes, that's Google's decision what they can do with it, and they both benefit, both the government and the corporation start benefiting from that.
But it's already interesting that some smaller companies would be like obliged to verify or will be censored. So
Yeah.
like, oh, you are a company in US and you're a startup, right? Oh, you
They
want to
also
sell.
simply won't be able to afford it.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's the point. So it's also like pushing out the smaller competition or any type of competition
Yeah.
where the monopoly is going to stay.
I mean, I bet this has been workshopped between different interest groups for so long, because somebody told me that this has been the UK bill, at least, has been in the works since like 2017, 2016 or
Yeah,
something like that.
2017. Yeah.
So they've been workshopping it back and forth to make it most palatable to both like giant corporations and to the government itself. And obviously, F whoever else gets effed over by this.
True, but I have another example. So Russia is tightening its digital chokehold as well. From July 17th, 2025, Allah will find people just for searching for extremist content, even if they never accessed it. So if you're gonna like use some keywords, in Russia, the biggest search platform is Yandex, and Yandex is a Google of Russian internet.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, you Google something there, well, you Yandex it, whatever you
Yandex
search
forums.
for, and then you basically get a fine. They also said that you cannot use WhatsApp and Telegram. You cannot call on WhatsApp and Telegram if they the internet service provider, if they see that you use WhatsApp or you are calling via Telegram,
Yeah.
they will fine you as well.
Yeah, I read about this just recently. And what's soured between Russia and Telegram?
Which should be Russian, right? But the
Yeah.
thing is, because what it has end-to-end encryption, so it's like it's unhackable. You cannot see anything. So because technically, I think it's called zero trust protocol. When it's like, hey, you write something, it's encrypted, it's shipped, and then it's decrypted with a specific key by the receiver, which meaning that in between, no one can hijack it. Or if they hijack, let's say the package, it's like, imagine like a small box, they cannot open it, they cannot read it because it's encrypted. So therefore, they're like, oh, we cannot really see it, therefore blocked and banned. So they cannot control it. So that's what they did. And also companies who are promoting VPNs will be fined for $13,000. So, and if they see that you use a VPN, that's illegal. If you want to go to Russia now, if you have a VPN installed, you get a fine. If you have installed WhatsApp, you get fined. If they check your Telegram and you have calls, you're gonna be like as well fined. So basically, funny stuff.
Yeah, this was. This is just now more confirmation that every government is edging towards like completely dismantling the free internet.
Yeah, which is insane. And what I don't like from like a personal perspective, that anytime I have to do something, I need internet. So, oh, do you want to pay for this thing, or do you want to like you pay for electricity, you pay for gas, you need to renew your insurance. They send you an email and say pay by internet. Why no one provides me free internet if I need to like live in this life paying stuff through internet?
Yeah.
What if I took my old phone that is from 2019, it didn't work. So the question is, why wouldn't the government give me a free phone and free internet because I have to do stuff?
Yep.
So ridiculous.
Honestly, like they all of these governments that were just absolutely ragging on China for being authoritarian about its firewall, they've all just decided, well, if you can't beat them.
Join them, yeah, but they use it now as an example. I've seen some politician there like, in I don't know 5 years ago, China so bad they're gonna have this like social score, and then we will see and they see what's the score of the each person, and if they throw away trash, if they pay their bills on time and so on, and everyone gets a score. They're like, that's bad, we're never gonna do it. 5 years later, same politician, well, in China it worked, so we want to do it in Europe. CBDC implementation October
Even
2025.
before that, credit scores have always existed, which is just the sort of free market version of disallowing you rather than the government disallowing you from a thing. You know? Oh, this is a bad person. Do not let him. Do not give him a loan. Do not rent him a car. Do not do this.
That's true, but the biggest difference in my understanding is that if you're doing it in US, you're in the same ecosystem. If you're doing it in Europe, for example, if I'm from Lithuania and I live in the Netherlands, I will have this like digital ID, whatever, that I will have the CBDC, so central bank digital currencies, that will be all in like my account. So anywhere I go in Europe, they can open up and say, oh, Alex was
No.
doing this there, and they will have like a whole list of things
No,
they
I'm
did.
agreeing with you. At least your Chinese credit score stays secret aside from the government. No.
Outside of every country, outside China. If I would be like living in China, I'm like, well, whatever, I'm here, Jesus take the wheel, there's no way out of this system, right? But then in Europe, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna move for a better life, and they still can see, control, and kind of see every movement. And then what governments are gonna do? We can sell this data to Google, and basically could ask Google to pay for that number. So hey, Google, we know all the people, what they do, where they move, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
all the transactions, what they spend on. Insane.
Especially considering the insane people running Silicon Valley right now.
Dude, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why in my head, I'm going to repeat this, I think, every episode when we touch upon a similar subject, that I need to live in a forest. Like that's, as soon as I have a chance to like go offline, you'll never see me again.
I just think like everything's gonna be forests after the bombs hit.
Wow, that went dark very quickly. On this happy note, do you have anything else?
I'm just trying to get in all my edgy jokes before they get banned, you know?
Fair.
Okay. So we've got Trump, who's ruffling feathers with the NVIDIA chief.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the president Miyasato was saying his only deal-making strategy is breaking his promises. So he's already firing back. But what he did was basically he messed up a lot of their chips imports and outports, and at the same time they've been always adamant that China never get good NVIDIA chips. So the business has just been like on this weird sort of push and pull with the U.S. government from the beginning. But obviously Trump is looking for favors. He's always doing that. But yeah. This is making life difficult for the AI people in return as well.
I've seen somewhere in terms of logistics, one guy, I think it was on Reddit actually, he said, hey, I work in US and all these like microchip bans, and that you can, like China doesn't get any good chips, or was it like Chinese dude on Reddit? He said, when we order, we were told that we cannot order the latest one, like the latest, the best one. Yeah. But he said that they packaged the latest one, they just add a different sticker. He's like, literally anything you guys see on the news, he said it's all not true. I'm getting the latest chips. All I'm having is in the documentation, it says that it's not the latest. And he said, try asking any guy from logistics or anyone on the to sort of control or on the ship, no one's going to understand what's the difference between a chip. So basically they're doing business the same way, nothing changed.
Yeah, it's just under the table.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, we're just going to lie what's in the box.
Label swapping.
Yeah, label swapping, because no one will understand anyway.
Also, it's just like, so the Trump administration wanted NVIDIA to pay 15% of their revenue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from selling microchips in China, specifically.
Wow. Yeah, sure. Why?
I'm pretty sure they're trying to slow down Chinese tech. That's just it. But also, every chance he gets, he wants a cutback.
Fair.
So this is why NVIDIA has been very adamant that the Trump administration is really trying to tank them specifically. But
it sounds like it, right? Because they're making it just difficult to do business.
Yeah, but he sees a very wealthy company, and he's like, I want a cut of that.
Fair.
And I mean, I'm sorry you didn't go become a stock trader, bro. Like, you had to become president to boss around the company. Anyway, but this is just a bigger problem of like why NVIDIA also now relies on like the well, they don't directly rely on it, and we have no confirmation. But there's a huge black market of NVIDIA chips. Yeah. Which China does end up getting themselves anyway. So this is stupid. So if China's going to get the good chips anyway, and NVIDIA is not directly selling to them, and they get it through the black market, congratulations. Your 15% is just created an alternative market.
Or I've seen as well that maybe not NVIDIA, but someone was sending the package with the chip, like specific chips, and then said, here's the instruction how to override it. So they say, oh, this is the latest version, but it's locked. It's like firmware locked. But here's an instruction how you can unlock it. So basically, they're still sending like the latest version, but to make it legal, there's a loophole that they say, hey, this is the latest one, but then it's locked. Like, there's like a cap on it. But then they send instructions via WhatsApp. They're like, this is how you open it up. Just click this. That's it.
For anybody who doesn't know, this entire situation caused the Chinese tech people to innovate, and they basically decided we're gonna use the old chips and just rearrange them and mess with the software until we can get the performance we wanted.
Exactly.
And that's how we got DeepSeek.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is the point that they're like, oh wow, now something's hitting the fan. You know what I'm gonna do? Move and do something.
You just cannot control this kind of thing with this sort of brainless policy wonkery.
Yeah, true.
You're just not gonna stop a dedicated black market from not forming for something this critical to so many tech companies.
Agree.
Either way, and my last one.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah, Elon Musk. I can see it on your screen.
So he's suing Apple for rigging their app store, according to him, obviously.
What?
Anyway, he's trying to say that the Apple cut a deal with OpenAI to make them the most popular AI company, and poor little Grok is not doing very well.
Of course, then it's everyone else's fault. It's
anyway,
not his.
Sam Altman cut back and he said, "Hey, Grok is still performing worse than like Claude and performing worse than some other AI softwares."
Yeah.
So, what are you talking about? Is it the same thing as that like billions downloaded DeepSeek. And Apple didn't really stop them. It started competing with OpenAI a while back. So he's just, on another ketamine bender or something.
Yeah, this guy is like, if it's not my way, it's something wrong.
Yeah, it's
or
just
am
like
I right, or everything's stupid?
Reality must conform to me.
Yes.
I'm CEO, baby king, blah, 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 having a nice little bitch fit.
I'm so curious if anything's gonna happen to him. Like, when is he gonna get arrested or something, man?
I don't think it happens to people that rich.
Yeah.
I just know that what happens is you wait for them to die.
Yeah, there's probably the only way.
Yeah, you just have to wait for them to pass away, and then we have to make a pact amongst ourselves to be like, never let that happen again. We did that with kings,
Well, we did that in the Second World War, and look at us. There's still people like Elon Musk.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a whole different issue. I would argue that CEOs are how we try to appoint Führers in the modern day.
How many of them have to be sniped, like, before they start actually thinking of what they say?
Yeah, but I agree. But at the same time, like, this is what annoys me the most about the modern sort of tech field and so on. There are like actual inventors out there, and they're amazing. I love that stuff. I know I don't always sound like a tech enthusiast because this is the news we cover is the most like attention grabby and pertinent and stuff that genuinely messes with both of us. But there are genuine inventors out there making real stuff. And then there's like people like Elon Musk or to a certain degree Sam Altman, to a certain degree Zuckerberg is a perfect example actually, but Elon Musk fits this most because this is a guy most people I know do not buy any of his products. They don't drive a Tesla, definitely, and not like he made the good ones,
Yeah.
They don't they've never traveled on a SpaceX rocket. They don't generally use Starlink, and people who have had to travel to the mountains to just have Starlink on are like, it's really not very impressive service. But at the same time, this guy keeps gaining more and more equity because he's able to say, in a while, everyone will be using my products. In a while, everyone on Earth will be using my products.
Self-driving cars in 2 years, and then 7 years later, nothing.
Yeah, we'll be in Mars. He said that in 2013 or something, and we're 2 years past his deadline for even like finding a rocket to get to Mars. It's also okay. The Mars thing. Now I'm just gonna go off on a tangent. The Mars thing really messes with me because when we get to Mars, what are we gonna do there?
chill.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't even found a way to terraform Earth. How are we going to terraform Mars? If you could terraform any planet, how about fix climate change that way instead of trying to ditch to Mars and try to do all this nonsense? Like, it's such a marketing stunt because nerds fall for it. They'll just be like, "Oh, we want to go to Mars. I want to be in the Blade Runner reality." You do not want to live in the Blade Runner reality. I'm telling you.
It's more, I like the examples where it comes like, hey, Elon Musk has so much, or like whatever, Bill Gates has so much money that if he would like donate 5% of his wealth, we would solve world hunger.
Yeah, yeah, and then then Elon Musk was like, "Well, no one's ever shown me math that checks out." And then like someone from the UN or something like that actually broke it down. This is what we could do. What we could do. What we could do. He never replied. To
Obviously.
yeah, because
He's like, fake news.
fake news. Anyway, this is like just a pattern with the tech people where they're more about like how excited can I get investors.
Yeah, because it's just like, it's all about changing the world. I remember.
It's all about like future equity. You know,
Yeah.
that's the businessy word for it.
It's also like an emotional investment a little bit, right?
Yeah, I know. He sells a dream.
Yeah.
He's selling a dream. You know, he's like, they're going to be driverless cars on everything and blah, blah, blah. And then this is going to be all awesome. Your AI is going to be there and your robot butler is going to be there. And you're like, can we get one of those first before you start pitching the whole package? Focus on something, man.
It's like that. Then he's like, I'm going to create a flamethrower. Awesome. All right. So that's it from your side.
Yeah.
So everyone, thank you for listening. I hope you're watching this somewhere where you can comment, like, and subscribe. But what we want you to do is to go listen to part 2 of this podcast, where we're going to talk about blitzscaling and blitzfixing. See ya.
See ya.